So, Tom, why should we stop doing this? Isn't this parents doing what they've done since the caves, having fun with their kids, bonding and tickling them?
Well, of course, all parents like tickling their kids, and I'm no exception, but I do agree with the MP here. I do think that we need to teach them from a very early age, implicitly, that stop means stop, and that can build a foundation that they can learn about consent upon.
I mean, that's the point, isn't it? We are engaged, aren't we, as grown-ups, in a big debate about consent and about appropriate touching and about appropriate behaviour in the workplace. And one of the things people have said is it's empowering our youngsters to know when something feels uncomfortable, it should be possible to say no and have that respected. And do we start right from the beginning as parents, do you think, and stop tickling when they say?
I don't think that we really need to. I think if you know your child well enough, I think that you can understand when they're tickling, that if they're saying no, that's just one of the things that you say when you're being tickled. I think it's important that we talk about consent. I've got 2 little boys and a little girl, and I would like them to grow up knowing boundaries and knowing when it's appropriate to touch people and when it's not. I just don't think this is the right way to actually teach about this. I think that Alison Thewlis, I think because it's come from MPs as well. I think that it's good we're talking about it. But what they've done is basically taken something that we see as innocent, and it's almost tarnishing it and talking about. It makes it sound as though it's something sinister. And I don't think that tickling is. I think
it's interesting. Yeah, Tom. We're running a poll online. If you'd like to get involved, then please do just hashtag GMB yes or hashtag GMB no if you do agree or don't. But talking about this morning, and as soon as we went into our makeup room, we've got lots of mums in the makeup room, and girls that have got brothers and sisters and stuff, and been tickled by their parents, and the distinction between, actually, this is a conversation about whether saying yes or saying no means saying no, but actually, as Alison's saying, it makes it sound a little bit more sinister. As soon as we start having a debate about, is this touching appropriate as well? And that's one of the issues I had with it, because I'd never really thought about this, and actually, when you come to think it, well, maybe that is, but my boys, I know, when we tickle, and I love tickling them and messing around with them, and they really enjoy it as well. They'll be saying, no, 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 like the little girl, and then, no, 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 and you stop. I've had people saying this, and they'll go, why are you stopping? Don't stop, I want you to carry on.
Well, there is a very fine line between pleasure and pain, for want of a better way of putting it. There have been psychologists who've looked at it and said that there is that very fine point when you're tickling a child where it can just get too much for them and it's uncomfortable. And I think stopping tickling when they ask you, it's just a really good way, this very accessible way of teaching them a really important lesson in life. And it can be done really implicitly. You don't actually have to talk to them about consent, therefore, you know, they're at that very stage, but it kind of builds an understanding that they can kind of like go on with.
They can have that power to say no, that psychological power to say no, and it be respected.
They've got to know that their bodies are theirs, and they should question the motives of others. I mean, even if it's kind of like going to the doctor, they should say, you know, why does the doctor need to see my tummy? I do think it's very important.
Really? You think it should go that far?
I do, because I think there's so much stuff been going on in the news lately that clearly more needs to be done, and logically for me that needs to be earlier on in life.
Do you know what? It's horrible, isn't it, Alison? It feels like there's no innocence anymore. It feels like there's almost no childhood anymore.
No,
nothing can be taken at face value.
I think that's where I think over the last couple of weeks, all this thing about consent and sexual harassment and worse than that, we do need to have a debate, but I just think that there are, you know, children need to know about consent in a way, but yeah, it's just it's a loss of innocence, isn't it? And then you start questioning as a parent if you've done something wrong, if you've tickled them and it has. And I think you do know as a parent whether or not you've upset your child. I think you would know.
You think there's common sense?
I think there's a common sense, and I think that we don't need Alison Thewlis to talk to us about this. I think we know as parents what's right for our children.
We have the instinct for that. Lots of you getting in touch.
Rose agrees with Alison, doesn't she? This is pure common sense. If a child doesn't like being tickled, then you don't do it. I've always hated it, so my parents just didn't do it, and I didn't let anyone else do it either. It's very obvious when you don't like it.
Kale says, I heard about this and couldn't believe what I was hearing. I love my kids. We have tickle fights all the time. We all laugh so much. Why would I stop doing it? I'm not sure we're saying stop doing it, but listen to the children. The idea is listening to the children. When they say stop, do you stop? Because often, and I'll be very guilty of this, I'll keep going.
Yes, you're the one that pushes the boundaries at every opportunity. I mean, Charlotte, you don't like it,
With my
do
little
you?
girl, I hated being tickled as a child, actually. And you'd say, don't start now, because I'm really ticklish. And I would say, stop. And then it used to really annoy me that people wouldn't stop. And actually, with my little girl now, it did make me think the other day. And I thought, actually, I think, you know, my husband was tickling her, and she was kind of, oh, stop. You know, I think when they do say stop, I think that you should respect that and stop. And even if they then say, oh, keep going, keep
Philip
going.
says, my
they need to know
3-year-old twins
that.
always say, stop, Daddy, so I do. And then they say, tickle me again, Daddy, why have you stopped?
But then they know that if they say stop, that you will respect that as a parent, and then they can ask to carry on. But I think it's really important that they have that power, even from a young age, to be able to say, actually, this is my space, and if I say stop, then they know that.
And it shows they've got an understanding at that stage as well, between, you know, start and, OK, you stop and, you know, start, do it again. That is their decision, and that is so important that they grow up knowing that.
Some of the things that you said, Alison, though, I thought were quite interesting with regards to other areas of their lives where they might not want to consent to do something and you force them to do it. Holding your hand when you're crossing the road. I mean, how many parents have to fight with a toddler? You're holding your hand when you cross the road and you're not going to listen to them say
Getting
no.
back in the buggy, all of that stuff.
Eating food that perhaps they don't want to eat.
No, of course.
Yeah.
No, so
There's also got to be a bit of power the other way.